Now, with the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission eyeing over 6 million new voters ahead of the 2027 elections, early signs suggest a slow start to the continuous voter registration exercise, particularly among young Kenyans, despite their growing voice in national conversations. Experts warn that if this trend continues, the election could be determined by an older and shrinking voter base, raising questions about representation and legitimacy. IEBC has been urged to open registration centers during weekends and take the exercise directly to institutions of higher learning where the youth are. NTV's Laban Shaban reports.
It is midday at the Kibra Constituency Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission office. Clerks are busy registering new voters. Instead of the long queues the commission had hoped for, residents are streaming in one by one, though a small crowd is beginning to form. Kenya's electoral body is targeting the registration of 6.3 million new voters. However, on the ground, the enthusiasm, particularly among the youth, popularly referred to as Gen Zs, is far from the anticipated frenzy, despite their recent show of political activism.
Looking at it from the point that we've not been registering people for quite some time, we expected that the numbers would be overwhelming.
On Monday, only 35 people registered. On Tuesday, that number dropped to 25, and by 4 p.m. Wednesday, the tally stood at just 40 and counting. Other regions have experienced low voter registration turnout as well. Franklin Mukwanja, the executive director of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, attributes this low turnout to the unavailability of the target population during weekdays.
The target audience is largely committed in institutions of higher learning. They are also hustling out there to make ends meet. So let's give them time. We're going into the weekend.
History shows a familiar pattern. The electoral body is setting big targets only to fall short. In 2013, IEBC aimed to register about 18 million Kenyans, but only managed 14.4 million. In 2017, the register grew to 19.6 million. By 2022, the commission set its sight on 25.6 million voters, but fell short by more than 3 million, closing at 22.1 million. Now, ahead of 2027, IEBC is eyeing 28.5 million, a goal observers warn may remain just that unless turnout improves. Mukwanja believes the turnout may improve, but warns of the stakes if it doesn't.
We risk having an election that is determined by an older shrinking population. That means the election of 2027, its legitimacy in terms of proper democratic tenets will be up in question.
And while the numbers remain low, a few young Kenyans, the very Gen Z the commission is counting on, are showing up, driven by a desire for change.
Hiyo vote yako unaweza sema ati hizi change. Hiyo vote yako inaweza kuwa ndio inaweza change ile kitu yote. Unaona, unaweza kata kuvote ikuwe iende draw ama ikuwe ndio tumechapwa. Lakini hiyo moja tu yako itamaliza ngori yote.
Experts say while concerns about youth apathy are valid, it may be too early to draw conclusions. The low turnout may not define the entire exercise, but as IEBC seeks to add millions of new voters, the gap between ambition and reality remain its biggest hurdle. Laban Shaban, NTV, Kibra, Nairobi.